Welcome back to the page, guys. We have a Crystal Beast conversation to have before we really lock in to the Darkwing Blast meta. Let's get into it, shall we?
I like to play 2 copies of regular old Rainbow Dragon and 2 copies of the Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon. I know most people are used to playing 3 copies of the Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon, but I have this weird superstition because I always freaking see it in my hand, and the more copies I open up with, it just sucks. But there's always a good possibility that I'm going to resolve it multiple times, so I still got to play these. It's one of the first cards I choose to side out, if anything else.
This immature dude over here, bro. This immature dude over here.
Let's see how he reacts to this.
Send all your hate mail to this dude right here, bro.
But first, let's peg him.
All right, y'all. It's been fun. It's been all right.
So Sapphire Pegasus, it is one of the OG Force of the Breaker cards. Just
And
like
he does have ultis and secrets. He doesn't want to blind the masses.
They can't handle it.
They can't handle it, bro.
So they have to deal with common stuff. It's what they can handle. Then, of course, we got the standard one-ofs. The best one. Just kidding. It's Ruby Carbuncle. Everybody knows this. You should hope.
So just quickly, they all do something pretty much the same thing,
They
but
crystallize, just like in the anime. They become continuous spells whenever they would be destroyed instead of going to the graveyard. And it's really nifty because in this version of the deck, it's going to have a little more spice that helps you pop those cards and give you a little more generated
Does this one ever pop up? No, not at all.
I never see this card unless I just put it in the graveyard for a name. I never see it at all.
Well, I mean, like its effect. It is soul charge.
yeah.
All right.
It is soul
here's-
charge.
So before I go into the spicy monster lineup, I only played the 2 hand traps, 2 DD Crow, because quite frankly, just the D-Shifter is not really that good in this deck, purely because of the fact that if you want to be able to combo off, you still got to be able to manipulate your own graveyard, and because the Shifter still causes it to linger on your turn if you're going second, it can really inhibit you. So I keep the D-Shifter in the side deck if I'm going to play it at all.
Yep.
So as for the spicy monsters, we play a little Scareclaw package. So Visa Starfrost, you can target basically any monster from your main deck because none of them are lights, much less warriors. You only play the one other warrior in the form of the right card. And ultimately, this card is going to get you this. You're not going to pop it anyways. And then this allows you to get to a Baron play as well as generate a little more advantage.
I feel like it's gonna get even more interesting. I really
And
do.
then, a last-minute addition to the deck is 1 copy of Tearlament Sheeran.
Okay, so
because-
why this card, bro? Why?
So it's going to have multiple facets because I play 3 copies of Pearl Arena. And the 3 Pearl Arena in there are basically to search the Visa Starfrost, but if you open up with Starfrost, this gives you something that you can still add to your hand, and it's essentially a free body on board. If you open up with one of the crappier Crystal Beasts, you can send it to the graveyard to summon this, mill another 3, potentially put more names in the graveyard, as well as just put a level 4 body on board.
And you know, the turtle guy is Aqua. I forgot it, but yeah.
I actually don't play any of the Tearlament fusions. This is literally the only Tearlament named card.
Just to have 4. Yeah.
Because it just has a little bit of level 4 synergy as well as a free body on board.
Right.
That is all that it's for. So moving on to the spell lineup, we got 3 copy of the heart and soul of this deck. It is your additional normal summon as well as one of your key searchers, as well as 3 copies of Rainbow Bridge. But this card, obviously, if you know Crystal Beast, does much more than that. Say, during your opponent's turn, if you successfully put one of your Crystal Beasts in your spell and trap zone, it allows you to compulse a card that they control. And that comes up very often if you're playing the deck correctly. This card...
This is mandatory 3-0? I like automatically because it's how strong it is.
Because you want it to be one of your cards that you open up, because you can't search it off of Rainbow Bridge, because this only searches crystal spells and traps. This card is considered to be a Rainbow Bridge card, which means you can search it off of this. You can go from this to this to that if you have a Rainbow Dragon in hand, which 9 times out of 10, I sure hope you do. But the best part is, if you open up with this, this gives you access to that, or any of your other crystal spell or traps. plus your normal summon. These cards can be, your resources can be better allocated, essentially.
You feel like one is all you need, really?
Oh, not of this card. This card's also a 3-up.
He's like, no, screw that.
The only 2 Crystal Beast cards in terms of spell lineup that I play 2 of is Bond, because yes, it is once per turn, and if they're gonna Ash it, you're screwed because it negates the effects, not the activation. So, and there's so many ways to search it. I mean, hello.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna get to it some kind of way. You don't need to play a lot.
And then the 1 copy of Beacon, because that's just one of the best ways to play this deck. Because, I mean, this literally gives you all your monsters on board that you need to generate all of your advantage. Moving on to field spells and other packages, we have those 3 Pearl Arenos. It is literally just for searching the Visa Starfrost, or if you open it, the Tearlament Sheeran, just for an extra body on board. Then you play 1 copy of the Primitive Planet Rycovia for the Scareclaws.
I had a feeling I was gonna see this card. Can you talk really quickly about, like, there was like a little small connection that I was like, oh wow, that's stupid.
So what you do is you use the Tearlament field spell to add Visa Starfrost, and then you're going to summon it, link it off for the Scareclaw Lightheart, which you'll then be able to automatically search this and go for your right card and get yourself this next card, Scareclaw Arrival, which will then revive your Visa Starfrost and give you access to Baron.
So it just gets you quick. It's a quick Baron off of all just 1 Visa equals all that.
Pretty much. And in addition to that, Scareclaw Lightheart also has a great effect that if you control Visa Starfrost, you can special summon it back, and that's a once per duel effect. So it gives you a little bit more link-based advantage if you're going down that route, which, because I play 2 Saryuja instead of just 1, gives you a lot more viability with that.
Right.
So then your only other field spell is main decking 1 Necro Valley, because this card can absolutely shut out so many decks. And it does what D-Shifter does, but arguably better, because this is going to linker, and you can do all of this after your play, so you don't have to rely on having no cards in your graveyard like you do for D-Shifter. Then we're going to play 2 copies of Foolish Burial Goods, because it's essentially 2 terraformings, but this card is going to be better, far better than terraforming, because it puts your Rainbow Bridge of Salvation in the graveyard and gives you a Crystal Beast in your hand, so that you can actually get to your place. You open up this, you basically get whichever field spell you want. You get this.
This card, I've been seeing this in tier profiles all week anyway, because everybody's falling in love with it, but you just love it in general just because of the natural synergy too.
Yep, I'm playing it in a similar way. I'm getting the same cards, except for in this case, hypothetically, you use it to send this to the graveyard, you banish this, you add Pearl Areno, and you add Sapphire Pegasus. You activate Pegasus effect, and then you're going to place your Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon into your board. You banish that, and then from there, you'll go ahead and special summon another one. And because you now have this, you'll search the Visa Starfrost, pop one of these, it goes to your spell and trap zone, and you now have Scareclaw Baron plays.
So say it one more time really quickly, just to, you know, just to run it down. Like if somebody's picking up the deck for the first time.
So essentially, you open up with Foolish Burial Goods, you activate it, you send Rainbow Bridge of Salvation to the graveyard, then you banish it, and you search for Sapphire Pegasus and Pearl Areno. You activate the Pearl Areno, and you add the Visa Starfrost, and then you normal summon your Sapphire Pegasus,
clean.
crystallize the Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon, and then you banish that in order to special summon whichever one. I usually go for another one because of Ruby Carbuncle multiple plays, as well as Link materials, Xyz materials. You destroy the one, special summon this, and then you can go into your Baron immediately if you're wanting to avoid Nibiru, or if you're confident enough, you can go into your Scareclaw engine and continue on from there.
And that's before you really start.
Yep. For the rest of the main deck, we're going to have 2 copies of Prosperity. I know that this completely clashes with the Saryuja, but this is mainly for the purpose of a deep draw effect, so that you can either get to it by Saryuja or you can get to it by this. And if you go into Saryuja, worst case scenario, you can always put this at the bottom of your deck.
Right.
So that's always good to have. Then we got the 1 copy of Call by the Grave.
Of course.
And then the only 2 traps that I play in the main deck are going to be the Rainbow Bridge of Salvation and Crystal Miracle, pure Solemn, searchable Solemn for that matter.
You would ever play 2? I was watching somebody play online, and they were like obsessed with playing 2, and they were like swearing that it was like correct, and I'm like, I don't know.
Maybe a pure build, but in this deck, You don't need that because
that's what I was
you
gonna
have
say.
so many other interruptions that you're going to be going into. So moving on to the extra.
Especially in a rogue deck. Especially in a rogue deck, you have to get to the point. Yeah.
Absolutely. You can't afford to just dwell on these things. Speaking of dwelling, of course, we'll just start with the XCs. These two are going to be some of your main effects, as well as Castell. Castell comes up more often than people realize, especially because of the tier limit matchup, because you spin Winda back. First things first, you use the Crystal Bond, you place the Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon into the spell and trap zone, then you special summon a Crystal Beast Sapphire Pegasus, and then you normal summon your other Sapphire Pegasus, so you can avoid Halfness, and if they summon Winda, you still have your special summon available.
So it's your smooth out the window. Somebody harmed, somebody was bugging you and
roommate.
Yeah, okay. I knew it.
Then we got Zeus, just because it's Zeus. We play the one copy of Baron de Fleur, one of each fusion, because you summon this, then you banish the materials from your graveyard, you get a second huge booty on board.
Huge
And this one just spins everything back, gives you 5 monsters on board. For the quick link lineup, we play the one Lightheart because it gives you recursion as well as searchability. One Dark, which I'm probably going to cut out for the Underworld Goddess. I just don't own one yet, admittedly. IP Masquerena to go hand in hand with a Nightmare Unicorn. Cross Sheep because you can bring back the Ruby Carbuncle, and in addition to that, if you summon the Baron de Fleur ahead of time, you can give them all an additional 700 attack as well. Appaloosa, which will usually have 3 or oftentimes 4 negates, and then double Saryusha to wrap things up. Because drawing 8 cards and putting back all of your already used cards that are once per turn or your otherwise bricks is amazing. And then to help round out this deck profile, the only card that I will always keep in my side deck, Time Rules Are a Bitch. This card says that you can banish this card from your graveyard during your turn. Inflict 100 damage to your opponent for each defense position monster on the field. So you send this to the graveyard using Foolish Burial Goods, or just by pitching off a Dugaris.
It's like Konami does it on purpose, bro.
That sure does. So I'm going to try to show you very quickly so we can wrap up the easiest way to get to some of your combo lines. So you open up with that, say Crystal Bond, or another way to get to it, and that. This is going to be your gateway to victory. So you can start off by activating the field spell. You add the Visa Starfrost to hand. You activate Crystal Bond. You add this to hand. Place the Crystal Beast, Rainbow Dragon, into the spell and trap zone. So at that point, you can go ahead. You now have this on board. Not that you need it anymore, because now you have the Beast of Starfrost. You can activate your Rainbow Bridge of the Heart, your additional normal summon. You can go ahead and do that. And Spanish, you can now place another Sapphire Beast or Sapphire Pegasus right there, and at that point you can easily just trigger this to pop, and you'll have the ability to get out your Ruby Carbuncle because of your Crystal Beacon right here. You'll search that, you'll activate it, Ruby Carbuncle, special summon these, gives you 2 more names right in your spell and trap zone. And during the midst of all of that, say if you also opened up with another Sapphire Pegasus, you can destroy that as well, and you'll have 3.
So you just keep extending.
I got you. So essentially, you'll just keep this extending, and during all this, it's important that you bring these back in defense position because of the Scareclaw Ride card, because it has an additional effect that whenever it's summoned, you get to draw 1 card if you have 3 or more, well, if there are 3 or more monsters on the field in defense. I believe that includes both sides, not just yours. But hypothetically, this board is going to apply mostly if you're going first.
So this is pretty much your wheels then.
This is, and it is so easy to get to this combo because outside of this, most of it is all searchable, and even this is searchable off of the Rainbow, or the Awakening of the Crystal Ultimates. All you have to do is open up with this, and you normal summon that, place this, banish, special summon one of these, and it also adds Rainbow Dragon to your hand mid combo as one of its mandatory effects. That's part of why I play 2. Because if you open up with one of your Rainbow Dragons, this card's useless.
So you're gonna get some kind of profit, and if you don't, then it's just useless and pointless.
Exactly. At that point, your hand is completely screwed because now you can't play shit. So this card will then allow you to search virtually whatever you want. It can special summon a Crystal Beast. Oftentimes, it'll special summon this from the graveyard. And at that point, you oftentimes still have 2 level 3, level 4 mixture in your back row, and you special summon them back. And at that point, you can just go for Dweller. So if you don't get the Negro Valley, you go for the Dweller. Sometimes you want to do both for a little bit of coverage. And if you're able to dig deep enough, you can go for this card. And the best part about this card right here is its secondary effect. It's not even the counter trap ability of the Omni Negate itself. Its last effect reads as, let's see here. If a Crystal Beast card or cards is placed in your spell and trap zone while this card is in your graveyard, even during the damage step, because if there's Strike by Battle, gotta apply it, you can banish this card from your graveyard, and one Crystal Beast monster, or you place one Crystal Beast monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard face up in your spell or trap as a continuous spell. So that'll actually prompt the compulse effect of Rainbow Bridge of the Heart. So you can do this during your opponent's battle phase, and you can just compulse their monster after you already negated something. So you'll be taking away, yep, that's a secondary effect. So you've already negated something, or if you even pitched it to the graveyard for whatever reason, this still generates you advantage. Or if you need to just get one more name in order for you to summon your fusion, you can pitch it off of something like Dugaris, and you can still banish it, place card number 7. So all in all, this deck is all about continuously generating advantage so that you can still put up a stronger board, because with it being such a rogue strategy, you have to be able to put up something going first or second. Primarily going first this format, because siding for going second, it's fairly easy, and so long as you can break their board with your sideboard plus your original main deck, this deck generates that advantage so you can keep playing and playing and playing. And it struggles with hand traps like you do. That's its biggest problem.
So Nib is what your concern is. I got
Pretty
you.
much. I don't really have a good out for Nib. That's part of why I like being able to go for the Baron earlier on. Because at that point, if you go for the Baron earlier on in the plays and you cut yourself back a little bit, you can still play through that. Because now you have Baron on board. You'll force their Nib, they'll force your negate, then you can leak it off and still go into more advantage because of double Sardusia.
Well, bro, the profile is clean. The Crystal Beasts are clean and colorful.
Crystal clear.
And they're crystal clear. And we appreciate you
Likewise.
for your knowledge on Crystal Beasts, bro, because it's been a long time coming, because they're finally actually like
Absolutely.
a little bit more
playing
relevant.
this deck since I was a child.
Yeah.
So it's really fun that they actually got good support that can actually do something. And my friend Ryan, he recently featured on the same channel here playing his version of Crystal Beasts. And I took a tiny bit of inspiration, but he used to play Scareclaw's a pure deck, and I played it once, and he played my Dark Magician deck that you
And
see
it dawned
before.
on you all at once.
Yep, and it just kind of clicked.
Right.
It's like, oh, I can search this field spell. That is amazing. It continuously generates my advantage.
Right.
So why not?
Right.